let's start with the God, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I mean, the God is defined in the dictionary as the supreme being. I mean, even in the dictionary of the satanic rejectors, the God is defined as a supreme being. That is the English word for God. In Arabic, it's called Allah, which basically fundamentally translates to the God into English. In the Hindu tradition, it's Om. In Persian and Urdu, it's called Khuda. Yeah. In Spanish, Dios. Yeah. And on and on. And Deus in Latin, I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure. So he has many names that define the fundamental word God. And he has many attributes. Yeah. I mean, there are so many attributes of God, which you can read in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran as well. And fundamentally, we only know about this entity what's written in these books. And from the understanding and interpretation of what's written there, we can see his um, fingerprints as a metaphor in the creation around us. That's how we can understand who God is. I mean, what God is, forget it. I mean, like, we really don't know what God is. Yeah? I mean, we can say who God is or what God is, but most of what we can understand is what he does from the books and what we see in front of us. Because everything we see in front of us is done by God. What we do with our hands is done by God. And people say, oh, so all the killing and murder? Exactly. You think you're doing it. You think you're doing it because God doesn't want you to do it. The killing and raping and pillaging and swindling and stealing and lying and hypocrisy and idol worship and scheming and planning evil. You think all this is done by you because God doesn't want you to do it. Yeah, keep thinking. Everything is from God. Then you will blame God for it, obviously, and you will soon see who is to blame for it. The only thing you can blame God for is the good that you do, and not the evil. But the evil is also being done by God. So first, so back off from this a little.
Mm.
First of all, a soul, a man, woman, man is the same thing. Yeah. When I say man, it includes women, men and women. Yeah. When I say woman, it only includes woman, not man. They can cry about it. I don't care. That's how God works. When God says sons in the Torah or the Bible or the Quran, it includes sons and daughters or just sons. When he says daughters, it only includes daughters. And that's how it is. I mean, you can argue with God about it. It's not my business. I'm telling you how it is. Yeah. It is my business, but it's not really I didn't do it. I mean, God does it like that. He chooses the sons over the daughters, obviously, with the exceptions like Mary, mother of Jesus. So, first of all these people, the soul, the man, needs to understand or accept that there is a God. I mean, unless you accept there is a creator, a God, or Allah, or Om, or what, Yahweh, they call it in the Jewish tradition. So, unless you accept that fact, what is the merit of this question that you asked me?
There is no merit.
So, first, you got to figure out for yourself. Don't tell me to prove it to you. Don't ask me to prove to you that God exists. That is your challenge. You must prove it to your own self, your own soul. The soul must prove it to herself. Now, I can give you an example where you don't have to 100% believe God exists to believe God exists. How would you think that would be?
I have no idea about that one.
Okay, so basically, you can never be 100% sure. The best believer is 99.999999999 recurring star on top
Mm.
believer that God exists. There's always doubt. Because without doubt, there can be no belief. And without doubt, there can be no rejection. So now, when you're in doubt of rejection or belief, you got to find a midpoint, which is 50%. Yeah, if you, that's the perfect agnostic is a 50% believer in God. Because he says he exists, he doesn't know if he exists, and he doesn't know that he doesn't exist. So he's right in the middle. Yeah, he's on the line. He's going to hell, obviously. You got to be 50% plus the smallest point to be counted as one who is actually believing God exists. And that's where belief starts from. And then from that, you get to a point where you submit. You submit to the fact that God exists, and you submit to him. Obviously, once you understand and submit, accept that there is this God. I mean, does any soul have any ability to then not submit to that authority? I mean, there's no way. I mean, once you know the guy has the gun that can blow you away, you submit to that guy. Yeah. So this is fundamentally how your belief system would go to accepting there's a God. It's for yourself. It doesn't matter. Now, once you've accepted that, then you have to figure out, so he's the God. So he created all of this, and me as well. Then you have to figure out, oh, I'm created. I just didn't come from a monkey like Darwin told me. Wow. Is that true? Then you have to unravel all those things to figure out what God really is. Then when you've gone through all your scientific nonsense and you've destroyed it and massacred it and made it into a pile of turd that it is, then you say, so what happened? There's books. There are books that supposedly came from God. Maybe there's answers in there, and that's where you start to understand who God is and what he does.